Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be doing my Pickems for the Americas Kickoff, and let's just get right into it. So first, start off with Group A, that being NRG Esports and Furia, with Cloud9 versus MIBR. And first off with NRG versus Furia, I have to say NRG. I mean, it's pretty easy. NRG, they just have a world-class roster, so that's pretty easy. Cloud9 versus MIBR. Now, lately, I've been actually rethinking about MIBR because on paper, their roster is kind of decent. Like, it's actually better than I was expecting when I first saw the roster. But it doesn't really change the fact that I still think Cloud9 is going to win it. However, I do think MIBR is going to give Cloud9 a run for their money. So I do think Cloud9 is still going to win, but MIBR could surprise some people. Furia versus MIBR. I have to say Furia, even though I think it's just going to be MW0 just getting a 40k bomb, then like maybe like the next closest probably is like getting like 20 kills or something. I still think Furia is probably going to be better. But like I said about Cloud9, MIBR is going to give Furia a run for their money. NRG versus Cloud9, I mean, it should be NRG, just an easy one. And then Cloud9 versus Furia. I have to say Cloud9. I'll say Cloud9 for that. So that's Group A all done. Group B, basically the death, the death group. Loud versus Sentinels. Now, Sentinels have a pretty good roster, obviously. Zeus is pretty sure Zeus he's now in the team full time. Pancard apparently still over in Brazil and he's not with the team. So Zeus is basically going to be the fifth man in that roster. Pancard is going to be on the bench. And Loud, obviously, they have replaced Aspas with QCK, who's actually a pretty good player. However, I don't think he's actually played duelers in a while. I'm pretty sure MW0, I'm pretty sure he was the duelers when he was over in Furia. So this is the first time that QCK or Quick will be duelers for quite a while, I'm pretty sure. Now, I'm not really too sure about it. I could go either way, but I probably have to say Sentinels just because I feel more confident on their team. Yes, they have played in the Africa tournament where they won. They played, I think, against Moist Shopify where they lost, but to be fair, it doesn't matter because it is a tier 2, but also Moist is a very, very, very good team. I just think that Sentinels just has a slight edge. I think it's gonna be very, very close though. It's gonna be incredibly close, but I do think Sentinels will take the win over Loud just by a tiny bit. Leviathan vs 100 Thieves as an easy one. It's Leviathan. That is incredibly easy. I mean, Leviathan, they are the top team in Americas as of right now. So it is obviously that Leviathan will win against 100 Thieves. Loud versus 100 Thieves now, this is going to be pretty difficult. I mean, both of them have very good players and rosters. I mean, 100 Thieves has Boostio, of Lady IGF for EG, and EU, formerly from MAT. But I mean, the only thing I'm worried about Loud is maybe the coaching staff. I mean, they have Pew, who used to be the coach, I'm pretty sure, for the Union. Correct me if I'm wrong. The team that was the top Brazilian team in Ascension. But at this, I don't really know. Like when Fraud was in the coaching staff last year, I had a lot of confidence there because I know that Fraud, he's a phenomenal coach. But I don't know about Pew. I'm not really too sure. Well, for 100 Thieves, of how they played in the Ludwig Xeric Invitational, they look like a tier 2 organization. So I'm not too sure, but I do have to say Loud for this one. I do think Loud is going to win against 100 Thieves. Even though it may be pretty unpopular, I do think Loud is going to win. Sentinels versus Leviathan. This is definitely going to be a must-watch match if it does happen. Sentinels versus Leviathan. I mean, two teams going at it. I have to say for Leviathan though, just because of they have so much more firepower than Sentinels. I mean, yes, Sentinels has Zelsis. Yes, they have John QT, who's a phenomenal IGL. Who I'll be honest, I think John QT is probably a better IGL than King. However, if we talk about fragging power, I think King probably has a better advantage. But if we talk about like strat stuff, probably John QT. Leviathan was literally have Aspas, who's a phenomenal duelist. We know that. They also have Com, Hex is in as well as an up and coming player. Mazzino. I mean, there's not really like a weak link in Leviathan. Maybe you can maybe say Mazzino, or you can maybe say King maybe as a possible new IGL. But other than that, I mean, there's not really any weak links. I'll be honest for Leviathan. And Sentinels versus Loud. I still think Sentinels is going to qualify, so that is my Pickems there. And then finally, I still moving over to Group C, a very short video. Crew versus G2. G2. I mean, no surprise. They basically have the guard with Leaf. So, easy. EG versus G2, though, is more interesting. Because, to be fair, EG actually have a pretty decent roster. Like, yes, they have, I guess the prominent players they have is Jogma and Derek. Derek did have a down year in 2023 with 100 Thieves, but he looked phenomenal in 2022. And I still think he still has that fire in him to actually come back into his 2022 year. And it was literally, we know how good Jogma is. I'm a bit worried about Apoth, though. He hasn't played for an entire year. Yes, he was part of the championship roster, but he wasn't part of the final five. He was basically on the bench the entire time. So I'm a bit worried about Apoth. I think Superman is pretty underrated. I think he's going to be pretty good. I think Nature as an IGL as well will be a good sort of fresh moment for Evil Geniuses. A new fresh phase as a new IGL with some new strats from Nature. I think that's going to be a good sign for them. But G2, they have the synergy of the four men, the guard roster with Valen, I was about to say Texas some season, Trent, Jonah, P, and Net, and then they have Leaf. I think G2 will easily qualify it. And Evil Geniuses versus Crew. Now, the Crew roster is interesting as well because, I mean, they have Shy, who we know is a phenomenal player as well as the initiator, I think. But also have MTA, who I think, well, watching some VODs of him, he was pretty decent, but I don't think he's going to be the duelist for the team. I think that might go to Kesner. So MTA needs to learn a completely different role unless he's going to be the flex player where he occasionally plays duelist. I'm guessing maybe a Sentinel. I'm guessing that's maybe like the close thing, or even initiator. I have no idea what MTA is going to be playing. But EG, I do think EG is going to win. Even though they are a fraudulent org, I still think, in my opinion, EG is actually going to win. I just realized, as well, I have, like, mostly North American teams in the playoffs. Well then, I have just realized that I am a bit biased to the North American crowd. Yeah, if you are a South American viewer, I just want to say I do not have any hard feelings about you. It's just that, I mean, there's just a lot of great teams, and like the groups are kind of whack in my opinion. I mean, I could easily be wrong about Clan9 Furia. I think Furia could actually pull off a pretty good upset, but from how they played in Convergence, I'm just not. I just don't think they're going to be that good. I'll be honest. Just unless they spice it up a bit. Well, not spice it, but like they fix up some of their issues, and also just, I guess, be more in line with MW0. I think they could be a pretty good team, but we just have to wait and see now. So that's really about it for me, and obviously I would now like you guys to like, comment, subscribe. It would really help me. I will also make a separate video of this, maybe even a stream, but probably most likely maybe a separate video on these Pickems for the simulation to see how that goes. So that's really about it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys next time in the next one. Goodbye.